Hello everyone, welcome to SAP Technomaniac. In this video, we will learn about the path expression in Open SQL statement. Along with that, we will see the default filter option in our CDS view entity. Let's get started. To understand the path expression in Open SQL statement, what we will do, we will use our one existing CDS view entity which we have created in one previous video, where what we were doing, we were getting the data from the sales order header table and the sales order line item table using the association 1 to star based on the condition where the sales order number was equal, and we were getting the sum of the field from the sales order header table, and we were exposing the sales order line item association to use either in some CDS view or in Open SQL statement, or wherever we are consuming this particular CDS view entity, that we can use this particular item association. So what we will do now, I will try to explain the path expression in the SQL statement. We till now discussed in the CDS view how to access this association through the path expression. First thing, I will try to access this association instead of the in field list. What I will do, I will try to access this particular association directly line item association after form. So as you know, if we are consuming this particular CDS view entity in our CDS view, we always use dot. But in the Open SQL statement, whenever you are consuming any association from the CDS view, you have to use backward slash. So I will use backward slash. If I do control space, so system gives us help. That is the advantage of Eclipse. So it is telling there is only one association. If you want to use, you can use. Yes, I want to use this association. But the problem is that still I am getting error. What it is saying? It is saying that path underscore item must have some alias name. So whenever we are using path expression, or I can say whenever we are using association in the path expression, we have to give mandatorily alias name. So I will give item as a alias name, or you can give sales order item, whatever you want you can give. So now error got removed. So what, just think it about like that, which join it will form. First of the question, whenever we are accessing the association, we have to think which join it will form. If you watched my last video, there when we are consuming the CDS view entity in the CDS view itself or another CDS view itself, then we can see SQL create statement. But here this is normal report, we don't have any SQL create statement. How you will see how which join is forming? But as you know, in the association, whenever we are accessing the join, this particular association, just after form, it will form always inner join. Let me activate this one, control F3, and let me try to see which join it is forming. To see that which join it is forming, we have to use ST05 trace, because there only I can see the SQL, what all are the join formed, what all are the table got access, which secondary index got access, locked, all the things we can see in the ST05. So instead of getting all the field, let me get fewer field, VBLN, comma, Posner. Okay, so I will get only the VBLN and Posner from this particular association and try to display in the output. Control F3. Before that, let me go to ST05 and activate trace with the filter. I want to activate this particular trace only for particular program, so that I will use this particular program over here and I will activate the trace. Then what I will do, I will go and run this program using F9. You can see the result. I will display this console here. So we got all the sales order and the line item from this particular item association. Basically, we are getting this data from the VBAP. Let me deactivate the trace and see this particular trace, what happened, which table got access, which join got formed, everything we can see in the SQL trace. So let me execute this one. So I have to, give me 1 second, display traces. Let me execute this one. So you can see I have accessed this particular association. Let me select this particular line and see the execution plan. What was the execution plan behind this? Let me enlarge little bit this one. So you can see even we didn't access header table any field, since we have accessed this particular association. If you see in this particular, we are just trying to access the association join form, but it formed the inner join, not left outer join, because we are accessing the association just after the form. That is the reason it formed the inner join, and we have joined this table VBAP and VBAK based on the sales order condition. Client field got added with the by default value. You can see client is 200, so client handling happen at the database interface level. It will add automatically client whenever this query is executed, then it will send to the database, and that particular query executed the database level. So it formed the inner join. That first thing I want to show you, how the inner join will form when we access this particular association through the SQL create statement. We already seen how this inner join forming when we are accessing this association or this CDS view entity in another CDS view entity. Same way, just note a difference, just syntax got changed. Instead of dot, we are using the backward slash, and here we have to mandatorily alias name. Now what I will do, instead of accessing this particular association here in the after the form, I will try to access this association in the field list along with the header table field as well. So what I will do, let me delete from here, and since the VBLN now is unknown, why it is unknown? Because we have given the alias name VBLN as a SO, so we have to use the sales order as a alias name. A sales order whenever we are accessing, so we have to use the alias name whenever we are accessing this particular CDSU entity instead of using the directly field name. So what I can do, I will access the sales order. To access the line item, again I have to access the association. So how to access association in the OpenSQL statement? Use backward slash. Backward slash, you do control space, you will get the item. And one more important thing, whenever we are accessing the fields from the item association, you have to use this. When we were consuming this particular association in the another CDS view, we use dot, but since it is the OpenSQL statement, we have to use this, and then you have to do control space, and you have to access the posner field if you want to access the posner. The same thing we are doing, but the little bit different way. This time we go to the sales order and the sales order line item, and we are displaying in the output. Let me do control F3. Just think about which join will form now when I try to execute this query. If you already watched my previous video, you know which join will form whenever we are accessing the fields in the selection list. It will form same as when we access that same CDSU entity and the another CDSU entity, which join got formed. To see that, let me activate my trace again with the filter this time, and I will give the program name, and let me execute this program F9. I got the data. Let me clear out the console. Same data we will get. Deactivate the trace, and what I can do, display the trace, and I will execute this query and try to see the execution plan for this particular CDS view when we accessed. So let me see the execution plan over here. So you will see that in the execution plan, this time it formed the left outer join instead of the inner join, because we access the association instead of after form, we access in the selection field list. So whenever we are accessing the association in the selection field list, it will form by default left outer join. So you can see the left outer join got formed, and we access the two field. One is the VBLN and another field is a line item from the line item table. So you can see SO and Posner we got left outer join formed with this association to the item, and the mandate is added automatically. So you can see, if you see precisely, then we are getting the data from this association, then left outer joining forming with the VBAP table on the condition where the client is equal and the sales order number is equal, and we are accessing the sales order number as well. And which is join form, what all are the table access, you can see little bit enlarge that object name VBAP and VBAP access got access, and the inner join got, left outer join got formed in this case. So let me again go to my open SQL statement. So you saw which join is forming. Till here it is fine. Now what I will do, I will check if I want to change the cardinality of this particular CDS view. Currently the CDS view cardinality, you can see it is 1 to star. Then by default, if you see the SQL create statement, if you are accessing the field, then it will form the left outer join. But we are not accessing in this case, so it will not form any join. As soon as we access the field, it will form the left outer join, that we already know. But if I want to change the cardinality over here, I want that, as you know already, if I make the cardinality instead of 1 to 1, if I I will access this field. Let me access Posner over here just to showing you purpose. So if I try to access sorry, and I will see the SQL create statement, it will form the normal left outer join. And but if I change the cardinality over here and I will make it 1 to 1, and then I will see the SQL create statement, it will form left outer join many to 1. Many to 1 join. 2 1 join, how it works, I already explained in my previous video. You can watch it out. So I want to change this. Suppose the currently cardinality is 2 1, control F3, or I can say it is 1 to star. Let it make as is, it was previous, so we can see control F3. In this case, we have accessed the field, it formed the left outer join, normal left outer join. I want to change this cardinality now. How I can change the cardinal? Instead of I want to make 1 to star, I want to make this cardinality as a 1 to 1. Minimum value also 1 and maximum value also 1. So how you can do? You can do this when we are accessing the association in the open SQL as well. How to do? There is a simple thing we have to do, same way how we did in the when we access the association in the our another CDS view entity. So what I will do, I have to give a square bracket. This time I have to use the small bracket as well, and you have to give the value as a star. And I think we have to give like this. So it will change the, currently I didn't change the cardinality. Here also a star, here is also a star. I will make it 1. Instead of making is star, I will make it cardinality change 1 to 1 instead of 1 to star. It will change only the max value. One more important thing. So this is telling that we have changed the cardinality. One more important, here we can change only the cardinality alone, but in the when we are accessing this CDS view entity and another CDS view entity where we were changing the cardinality, that time we have to give mandatorily where condition. In this case, if I am changing only the cardinality, it will work. I no need to give the additional condition over here. So this is the first use of the path expression. As I told you in my last video, what is the path expression? Path expression is the combination of the association chain, one association dot another association dot another association. At last we are getting the field, and initially we have the source. In this case, we didn't give the alias name. By default, source is this one. If you give alias name, you have to use alias, then tilde operator, then the association, like that I have to give. If we are making the join, if you are making the join and all, that time we have to use the tilde operator as well. That we already know from the our open SQL statement how we write. So this is the join. So in this case, if I try to execute this particular query, which join will form? To see the form join, I have to activate this program, and let me see the SQL trace again. That is the only way I can see. So what I will do, let me go back, come back from here, and let me activate trace with the filter, and I have to give this time program name. I have given the program name, and let me execute this program. Let me clear out the console and do the F9. So we got the data. You can see we got the data is simply how we are getting in other cases. Same number of entries, but let me deactivate the trace and then display this particular trace and see which zone is forming. So the execution plan. So you can see this time instead of forming normal left outer join, it formed the left outer many to one join, 2-1 join it got formed, because we have changed the cardinality over here. Instead of normal cardinality star that was by default, we have changed the cardinality over here. That is the reason instead of forming left outer join, it is forming left outer join many to one join. So like that, we can change the cardinality in the path expression. This is the first thing. The second thing, we can put the where condition, or we can say we can put the filter condition in the attribute of the association. Whenever we are accessing that particular field, we want to filter the data, then we want to display to the user, that we can do. So that is called the filter condition. So for showing that, what I will do, I will access the net amount field from this item association. So let me copy this, Control V, and let me get one more field, net amount. Control F3. Let me show you the result. What is the result? Get displayed. Let me do F9. So you can see net amount got displayed. But I want to display this net amount only when the amount is less than 1000. If it is amount is greater than 1000, I don't want to display this amount, and I want to give the alias name as a lower amount sales order line items, something I want to give lower amount or something. So for that, I can put one additional condition to tick that, where not only on the amount, I just gave the example how to put one filter condition. You can put filter condition on any field whenever we are accessing the data from the item association, where the net amount, the net here should be less than 1000. Then only I want to access the data. Otherwise, I don't want to access the data from this particular association. Let me do Control F3, clear out the console. Let me do F9. Yeah, I got the data. But the problem here it is, we are getting the data wherever the amount is less than 1000, but wherever the amount is greater than 1000, there it is showing the 00 value. That I don't want. Because of why it is showing, as you already know, we are accessing this association at the field level. It will form the left outer join. In this case, whenever I am accessing the data from the from the item association, I want to form the inner join based on this condition. So if I see the currently what is the SQL create statement, let me show you. For that, what we have to do, we have to activate the trace and then we have to execute. Let me come back from here and activate trace with filter, and this time I pass the same program name. Let me come here, clear out the console. Let me do F9. I got the result. Let me deactivate the trace, display the trace, and execute this particular trace. So execution plan. So you can see, if you see this particular execution plan, this time it formed the left outer join many to one join, since we are using the cardinality as a 1. But in this case, what they are doing, when they're putting the filter condition, so you will see clearly over here, there is two join formed. Both are left outer many to one join, because that's a very important thing whenever we are accessing the association. In the one association we put filter condition, and another association we didn't put the filter condition. So due to that reason, you can see it formed the two-time left outer join to one. It formed first left outer join to get this particular line item Posner, and second left outer join to get the line item this net amount field. But I don't want like this. I want to form one join only based on one condition. Since we have passed one condition and here we didn't pass any condition, so it formed a different join. If I would have passed both the places the same condition, then it would have combined this particular condition and it would have formed one join only. So how this particular analysis of this particular SQL will be done in the behind, you can see. So you can see as of now two left outer join. This is the first left outer many to one, since we have changed the cardinality, and where we are comparing only the sales order number, and second left outer join to one join, you can see this one, and here we are comparing not only the sales order number, but we are comparing the net amount also. Net amount is less than 1000. In first condition we didn't compare the net amount less than 1000. So we have to make sure. So it will, this two time form the join, it will execute two join. First it will try to for accessing the Posner, it will form one join. Then after getting the data, again it will form the join and it will get the lower amount data. So this like that we don't want. For that purpose, what we have to do, we have to pass this particular where condition both the places. Control C, Control V. So in this case, both the condition will be identical, and SAP will form only one left outer join whenever they are accessing the data. Let me do a Control F3. Let me come out, and here clear out the console. Control F3, do F9. The result will be not different, but if you see the SQL trace, for that let me activate the trace with the filter. Right, try to do F9 again. I got one more time data. Let me deactivate trace and display the trace and execute this particular trace and select this particular program name where we consume this particular association and display the execution plan. This time you see only one left outer join many to one form, because we put this net price condition both the places. So we have to make sure when you are accessing the same association, different fields, you have to make sure the where condition should be placed everywhere. Again, it depends upon requirement. If you want to put the condition for only this one and not for this one, your requirement is like that only, then it will form first left outer join and get this data, then it will execute again one left outer join on the same table, then get this data. So you have to make sure what is the requirement. In this case, I wanted like this, so no, I have to put the filter condition in net price. But the problem is that it is displaying 0. It's a wrong information it is giving to the user. So I don't want to display at all. So for that, what we have to do? Obviously, we have to create the inner join instead of left outer join. So how to convert the left outer join to inner join? Simply, we can give the additionally along with the cardinality and where condition, we can give one more thing, one more keyword, inner. So what it will do? Again, if you give one place inner join and another place you will not give, again it will form two join. To get the Posner, it will form the inner join. To get the lower amount, it will not form the inner. It will form the left outer join to one. It will form. So in this case, I want to get the inner join. This SQL statement form the inner join to get this particular data, and I don't want to get the data where this condition will be placed on condition. So we will not get the data where the amount is less than 1000. That is the reason currently we are getting, we will not get if we form the inner join. Let me do Control F3, clear out the console. Let me, okay, Control F3 and do F9. So you can see now, one second, Control F3 and F9. So you can see we got the data. Obviously this is the real zeros which is less than 1000. That is the reason it is coming. It's not coming due to that the amount is higher. That is the reason it is the displaying the inner join. It's not like that. For if you put like this, let me, instead of less than, if you put greater than, let me show you the things. Greater than, let me do Control F3 and clear out the console. It was without inner join. Delete, Control F3. Let me do F9. So you can see higher amount it is displaying, but lower amount everywhere it is displaying 0. That was not requirement. Suppose I have another requirement, like I want to display the, instead of lower amount, I want to display higher amount. Okay. So this is my requirement. I don't want to display 0 in this case. So what I will do, I will form the inner join. Currently, since we don't have the higher amount, it is displaying the initial value. We did, because this join form as a left outer join. If we are not getting the data based on the on condition, it will form, there will be the initial value. So in this case, I will convert this left outer join to inner join. Control F3. Let me clear out the console. Let me do F9. So you can see only we got the data where the amount is greater than 1000. Otherwise, we are not getting the data at all. You want to see the SQL trace, it is forming inner join or not, that also we can do. So for that, what we have to do, again, same thing, come back, activate trace with filter, same program we will give. And activate this trace, clear out this console, go to that program, do the F9, come to this, deactivate trace and display this particular trace. An execution plan we will see. This time it will form obviously inner join with all the condition, whatever condition we have given. The net amount is greater than 1000 and sales order and mandate which is added by database interface. So like that, you can see we can give 3 things in the path expressions, the attribute. This is called the attribute. The first attribute, we can change the cardinality. Second attribute, we can make it inner join. By default it is left outer join, or if you write left outer join, that is also fine. Inner instead of inner, left outer, left outer also you can write. So if you write left outer or not write, it will work as a left outer join only. So don't worry about that. So it is by default left outer only. If you want to make it convert it join to the inner join, then you have to write the inner join. And third thing, we can pass the filter condition. But one more important thing, whenever we are passing the inner join, so that is very important also. So now we will try to use separately. I don't want to make this particular condition is fine. If I don't use cardinality and I want to use the inner join, it is not possible. You have to use the cardinality to create any inner join. So I'm getting that error like that. A Boolean expression was expected in inner. So it's not like that. So without the cardinality, you can't use join. That's a very important thing. You have to give the cardinality. That is mandatory. And one more important thing, I just want to use this without inner join and without cardinality. I can, if I want to use this condition, so where is optional, where you should not, where is optional here. If you don't give where also, that is fine. It will work. Let me show you. Control F3, clear out the console. This is just we are passing the filter condition. We are not changing cardinality. We are not changing the join. By default, it is left outer join. It will work as a left outer join. Let me do F8. Oh, sorry, not F8. Sorry. Let me do F9. Again, I did F8. Sorry. F9. So let me clear out the console and again do the F9. So you can see we got the data since it is left outer join. Where the amount is greater than 1000, those only data we got, and by default it is forming left outer join. That is the reason we are getting, if the amount is less than 0, it is getting the by default the 0 value, initial value we are getting. So like that we can, but only inner join we can't use. Inner join, if I want to use inner join, I have to pass the cardinality. That is the mandatory thing. That's a very important thing. One more thing I want to show you, there is something called the default filter option. These are the three things. It's okay. I pass some filter option here, inner join. Let me again convert, again pass the cardinality. I can make it star, or if you want to make left outer join to 1, you can make it 1. That is fine. And I want to pass the inner join also, because I want to get the data for that inner join and only. Let me do F8. Let me activate this. As soon as I pass the cardinality, I have to pass the where condition. I have to write the where, then only it will work. Otherwise, it will give me syntax error. So cardinality along with this one, and alone we can pass the where condition, alone we can give the cardinality, but alone we can't convert the left outer. We have to pass the cardinality mandatorily. That is very important thing. So let me do one more thing. Let it be inner join only. Control F3. I want to explain here default filter. There is something called the default filter in the association. Let me go to my association now. Let me use default filter. With the default filter, something with the default filter, item underscore control space item dot. This is very useful when we access the material description. So that time by default, and if somebody is not passing any language, we can use by default in German or by default in English language, like that. I just want to show you how to do that one. I'm not using that exactly description example, but in this case, since we are playing with net amount, I will show you along with the net amount. If net amount is greater than 500, okay, so like that. So in this case, I have passed some where condition. It is working as is. Let me do first activate this one, control F3. So how it will work with the I have added with the default filter this one. This default filter will work here. If I am not passing any condition regarding the net amount here, then by default it will consider this condition. Let me remove this condition, net amount where condition, delete, and delete from here as well. Control F3. Clear out the console. Currently you can see greater than 1000 only. So there is something, now we will see between 500 and 1000 also some amount we will see after the execution this one. Let me clear out the console. Control F3. Let me do F9. So you can see there is some amount called 882. And but if you can't see less than 500 any amount, even 0 also you can't see, because if we don't pass filter condition over here, we pass the default filter condition as a item. We can give the filter condition here as well for particular association. If you are, whenever you are accessing this particular CDSU entity, you are not passing any filter condition, it will take by default this filter condition and work. Suppose I pass some filter condition over here where netwear is greater than 1000 instead of less than, control C, control V. Let me activate control F3 and let me do the F9. Clear out the console and F9. You can see this time I didn't get any amount, 800 something. Everything is greater than 1000. This time how it worked, it didn't consider this filter condition, it considered this filter condition. You can see that in SQL create statement also, how the way in the on condition, this time it is this one. If we are not using this one here over here, then in the on condition it will be the amount will be the greater than 500. In this video we have learned about the path expression in OpenSQL statement and the default filter option in CDSU entity. In my next video we'll discuss about some of the annotation which we can use at the element level. Till now we have discussed only we have learned about the annotations which we can use at the header level of the particular CDS view. In my next video we'll see some of the annotations which we can use at the element level, or we can see the field level annotations which will be evaluated by the ABAP runtime environment. Before going to that video, please like this video, subscribe this channel, share these videos with others as well. With that, thank you and happy learning.